So Mr. B should take a cheap pill and allow this president to do what he himself couldn't do in Anambra State. Look at our refineries. I mean, things, where is it? It's insecurity. Every sector you look, you see massive pointers of progress.
Hello, my people. Welcome back to Eke React. Today, we go enter one political gist where they shake Nigeria. APC Publicity Secretary Felix Morka don't talk say Peter Obi Labour Party presidential candidate na prophet of doom. Omo, this guy talk, I swear. Omo, this guy talk can cause many arguments in the country. As in some people when they talk say, wetin be that kind talk where Peter Obi talk self where they make APC people can they react like this. Omo. So now I been just political drama. I be say something big they under this matter like this. It be like say APC people they verse low key for Peter Obi. So my people, sit tight as we break everything down for Una. So don't forget to like, subscribe, press that notification bell so that you don't go miss any updates.
And you know, I mean, I know that the media, again, it's understandable that sometimes we focus too much on the negatives. But I think that we need to, at this time, begin to move away from this focus on, you know, just reporting the tragedies in our country and look at the positive side. This is a new year for crying out loud. Let us begin to take stock of the good things that are happening while still keeping, you know, a focus on what is wrong and what needs to be done. Well, nobody, the president is never, he's not saying to anybody, you know, stop telling me about what needs to be done. Yes, we need to do that, but we need to also take stock so that we can begin to see what we're doing right and then replicate that. And then what we're not doing right to begin to, you know, I mean, see how we can fix it. That is what governance, you know, does everywhere in the world, not just in our country, but everywhere in the world.
Well, Mr. Morka, you would have seen clearly that it's not just the media alone. I mean, former leaders like former President Olusegun Obasanjo had hit back at the NMPCL, actually saying that some of the things that are being said, I mean, shouldn't we be reporting them? I mean, if a former president is doubting governmental institutions, government companies, and all of that on some of the things, I mean, shouldn't we report? While we are also reporting the good things that the NMPCL says is happening, I mean, shouldn't we also report the concerns of other people?
No, certainly, Sambo. You know, I mean, look, I'm a human rights champion. Listen, he who makes any decision, citizens who decide whether government is working or not working, must hear all the sides. This is not, my case is not that, you know, the Obis and the Obasanjos who choose to focus more on the pessimistic side to advance, you know, this, you know, I mean, extreme pessimism. I'm not saying they shouldn't, you know, do that. And I'm not suggesting that media should not report news that is unfavorable. They should. I mean, that is the liberty, the freedom, the almighty freedom of the media to report. But I'm saying that, you know, they should also focus on the positive side. Now, for President Obasanjo, there's no Nigerian who is alive today, even dead or alive, who has had the kind of opportunity that President Obasanjo has had to impact this country. He was military head of state. He was civilian president for, you know, straight 8 years. A lot of the things that Obasanjo tends to indulge in discussing are things that he had the opportunity to fix. He didn't fix them. He couldn't fix them. So when this, you know, I mean, statesman comes along and casually simply indicts people and blame everybody for what's not working. Look, former President Obasanjo should be, you know, looking at himself in the mirror to see, you know, the oversize or the guilt he should feel for his failure to tackle some of these, you know, fundamental threshold problems that he keeps talking about. NMPC is delivering the Port Harcourt, you know, refinery. They have just announced that Warri is now, you know, up and running, and forecasting that, you know, in the near future, Kaduna will also come on stream. Listen, even when they say that, it doesn't mean that everything is, you know, perfect with the refineries, but it shows very bold, committed effort to revamp our refineries and make them more productive. Now, I was just reading a report today that Bua refinery is also, you know, nearing completion. Now, can you imagine what happens when all of these refineries, we have Dangote already running, where Port Harcourt and, you know, Warri and Kaduna and Bua and other, you know, smaller refineries are running in this country? We will be a massive exporter of, you know, I mean, petroleum products. Now already our imports, but not just for petroleum, but for other items, has reduced. Our balance of payments for 3 consecutive quarters has skyrocketed. The stock market is creating incredible wealth for those who are investing. Now look, somebody will tell me, but we're not feeling it yet on our dining table. We will. You see, step by step, little steps wins the race. We will get there. Every Nigerian will feel the impact because farmers are feeling the impact already. Those who are engaged in productive, creative activity are reaping the reward already. But with time, the workers who clearly appear to be the disadvantaged right now will ultimately do better because that's economics. When wealth is created, and more people are employed into the system, wages are paid, better wages are paid. Over time, this labor surplus we have that's making a lot of people feel like they're not feeling the impact, we begin to slide down. That is economics. This president understands economics. This president is delivering, I think, the finest model of economics for our country. And the future, hasn't been, doesn't look any better.
We'll begin with the face-off between the 2023 presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Obi, and the governing All Progressives Congress, APC. Obi had in his New Year message taken a scathing view at the state of the nation, asking President Bola Tinubu to provide concrete steps he intends to take to tame inflation from 34% to 15%. Obi also called on President Tinubu to reduce his foreign trips, which, according to him, have yielded little or nothing, while asking him to also visit the 36 states of the Federation to actually see how the level of suffering that Nigerians currently are facing. He lamented how difficult it is to be in opposition in Nigeria, saying that he's ready to give up everything, including his life, to effect positive change, even as he advised President Tinubu to exhibit greater commitment to fighting corruption. Obi, the Labour Party's leader, actually sparked controversy with the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, accusing Obi of painting a wrong picture about President Tinubu's achievements in the last 18 months and gradually assuming the status of being the #1 prophet of doom, quote, in the country. Well, very optimistic Felix Morka there. As we try to coast home, let's talk about 2025 and the political climate in Nigeria. Well, the Labour Party leader, Peter Obi, says he is sad that the APC-led federal government is not making the atmosphere conducive for democratic discourse that will allow opposition to actually function to the expectations of democratic expectations. I want to quote what he said. He said, "It is difficult to be in opposition in the country. Extremely difficult because everything is against you. People don't even want to see you. They don't even want to talk to you. If I tell you what I face, what I go through, what my family goes through, you wouldn't even believe I should still be standing and going around this country." I know you were in opposition, Felix Morka. President Tinubu to himself was in opposition. Peter Obi used to be a member of the former governing party in Nigeria. And what they are saying is that the kind of atmosphere that they allowed when they were the ruling party for opposition to thrive is not being replicated by the APC-led federal government. Aren't you worried that this may actually affect our democratic, statistics, expectation, and it may affect how your government is being viewed internationally?
No, I'm not worried, Sambo. I have no reason to worry. I mean, Mr. Obi is starting to sound like Tegwala. I don't know if you're familiar with this, funny cartoon character that, look, who is stopping Mr. Obi from, Mr. Obi has exercised the fullest of his constitutional freedom to speak, anything he literally wants to speak. Mr. Obi calls press conferences. He believes, he is this, a person that has the authority to address Nigerians whenever, and he does so. And nobody has ever, stopped him from doing so. Look, but when he speaks, he should expect, a reaction. If he says things that are inaccurate or misleading, you don't expect the ruling party, because there's this effort to emotionally blackmail the, APC to say you are the ruling party, whatever they say, just, turn the other way. We are not turning the other way. We are a political party. We are in this to win elections and govern and do the best we can for Nigerians. Mr. Obi is not going to blackmail us into, into some kind of, withdrawal. We're not withdrawing from anything. If Mr. Obi, says things that are wrong, I am the national spokesman of the ruling party. I have a duty So, I mean, if I listen and if I feel like what he said deserves a reaction, I will react. And when I react, he shouldn't then label that as, an effort to chill his freedom to speak or to be opposition. Now, look, Mr. Obi and, quite frankly, a lot of the people in the opposition, they are beginning to sound like, bad workmen who blame the tools. I mean, look at the PDP. The PDP is simply imploding. And, every time that happens, they blame the APC. We are not responsible. I've never been at a meeting in my party where PDP and how to implode the PDP was discussed. I've never been there.
Well,
and I attended quite a significant number of meetings in my party. So that's
they
what
say you are actually driving a one-party state.
They need to get their own things,
Yeah, sorry to interject there. They say you are actually driving a one-party state in Nigeria so that there will be no opposition to President Tinubu's re-election bid in 2027.
Sambo, you are a veteran. You are a man with great knowledge. You know that's not true. I mean, you must ask this question because you're doing your job. But that's not true. How are we constraining the PDP or the Labour Party from from blossoming? We're not. They talked about merger. Just recently, I'm hearing, Kwankwaso saying, we're not in any merger with anybody. Mr. B himself has said he has not signed any merger deal with anybody. Look, what has that got to do with APC? You see, these guys, we are busy governing. We are busy trying to figure out how we make our party better. Our national chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, has led the party to creating, for example, a democratic institute, an institute that will help the party to, profile and sharpen its understanding of democracy and how best to deliver democracy. While we are busy building institutions, making our party stronger, winning elections, because, look at what happened in Edo State. Everybody in the party, even those who contested, who lost primaries, came together to support the flag bearer. We are closing ranks. We have our own, challenges, but we're dealing with them quietly. But, Mr. Obi should deal with the mess in his Labour Party quietly. Atiku Abubakar and the rest of them in the PDP should deal with their own mess, quietly, resolve their internal contradictions, and then hopefully emerge from this level of decay and almost utter irrelevance that they become. And by the way, I must make this last point, Sambo. Look, Mr. Obi and Atiku Abubakar and everyone else, with them, are concerned that given this president's, robust economic plan and transformation of our country, they are concerned that if this program is allowed to go the full term, they know that Nigerians in 2027 will massively elect this president to govern again. Because, and by the way, from even their failure to organize themselves internally, how does any Nigerian even begin to believe that people who cannot manage their own internal affairs can govern Nigeria better than this visionary president that we have, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
All right, just before,
not possible. So that's their concern.
All right, just before I let you go, in 30 seconds to 60 seconds, I want you to talk to Nigerians. Should they be optimistic about 2025 under the APC-led federal government led by President Tinubu? What should drive that optimism if indeed you are optimistic yourself?
When the president had the media chat, he said something that some people completely misunderstood. He said, look, I have no regrets for these bold policies I've initiated. People heard that to mean, some level of cockiness or arrogance on the part of the president. But it's not. That was a statement of conviction of a man who is president today, who is simply saying to Nigerians, I know, I believe, I have faith that these efforts will create for us a new Nigeria. We transform the fundamental basis of our country. That is a man who is convinced, and Nigerians should simply, give him that benefit of the doubt. And the results are showing already. So when you match conviction with results, which now, at the beginning of the year, is already showing positive signs, I know that this will get better. It can only get better. So my word to Nigerians is that, my dear compatriots, stand fast, support this president. He is committed. He is not about 2027. He has said so. Whether, 2027 comes or doesn't come, this president has a mandate today, and he's justifying that mandate. And I think that Nigerians should take a chance with this president and see our country, this country we love dearly, take a turn for the not for the better, for the best, actually.
Right, Felix Morka is the National Publicity Secretary of Nigeria's governing party, the All Progressives Congress. And we must thank you so much for your immense wealth of knowledge and for trying to clarify some of these things. And we just hope that the opposition have actually listened to you and they'll continue to engage in a democratic discourse that will be for the betterment of the country. The presidency itself hasn't reacted to Obi's statement, but the governing party, which you are the spokesperson of, has hit back at Obi. Well, you're calling the Labour Party leader as a prophet of doom. What exactly did he say that is not right in his statement?
A whole lot of what Mr. Obi discussed in his press conference was just wrong. It was wrong, totally misled, and almost intentionally misleading, trying to get Nigerians to believe what is not. Now, I am sure that even those who are listening to Mr. Obi, the Nigerians who listen to him, would disagree substantially with his assessment of the state of address of the country. Now, whatever sector you may wish to look at, the country is rebounding in significant measure. There's no question about that. Yes, things were rough. At the beginning, but the roughness didn't start with this administration. As a matter of fact, the reform that Mr. B was, speaking to, were, initiated to correct and radically reposition Nigeria for prosperity. Because, when this government came in, things were just not right. But the president took very hard look at the state of affairs and decided to enunciate very bold policies to radically transform our economic life. Now, 18 months later, we are seeing the results of that. So right now, I think the conversation shouldn't be about whether or not those decisions were right or wrong. We should be looking at what is now the obvious emerging impact, outcomes of these policies. And they are pointing in the positive direction. So when Mr. B says that everything is worse today than it was yesterday, I disagree, and I think many Nigerians will disagree with Mr. B because that's not an accurate assessment.
Well, he actually says that most of the borrowings by the Tinubu-led administration are not tied to specific projects and investments, and that we seem to be very high on borrowing but very low in terms of specifics when it comes to projects. And he says that the president seems to be traveling more abroad and that he should stay more at home, spend much part of 2025 to not only stay at home but to travel around the 36 states by road. And then, of course, use public-owned medical centers. I mean, shouldn't be some of the standards that the APC should be setting if indeed things are getting better, based on what you said?
Samuel, the president was elected to govern. And governing includes actually interacting with other countries of the world. Especially this president, who has made it a core objective to mobilize investments into Nigeria. You don't simply do that by sitting in Aso Rock and hoping that the world will come to you. This is, we live in an age where competition for resources, for global resources, is very fierce. Every country of the world, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa, are looking for the same investment that Nigeria is looking for. So you don't expect the president, who has launched an ambitious project of economic transformation, to sit put in Aso Rock so that Mr. B can be happy, hoping that he comes out so you can take a look at him, while others are busy shuttling around trying to give reason to investors and other countries to make Nigeria an investment destination. Now, this president, more than any president in the history of our country, has labored and has actually garnered commitments, some of which are beginning now to trickle in, for massive investment that will help transform, all of the sectors of, our national life. So Mr. B can sit and simply just, localize his thinking, and because he's not the president, he can prescribe like a backseat driver how best to drive a vehicle, but he's not the president. And this president has the mandate to govern, and Mr. B is not going to dictate to him how he governs. And I think the Nigerians already, even your own This Day newspaper, named, Mr. President as the man of the year. If he was simply sitting in one place and doing nothing, I doubt that you would find him worthy of such a prestigious award. You see, look, all I'm saying is that we can quibble with details and quibble with these little things, but Sambo, we must look at the big picture and see where this president is headed. Look at what is going on. Look around you. Is it the refineries? Is it agriculture? Farmers have never had it so good, getting a fair value for their labor. In my district of Delta, farmers, those who know me, they come to me to say, look, you must thank Mr. President for us, because, look, my yam farm is producing for me yield and income that far exceeds what I have gotten in years combined before now. So while the people who, listen to Mr. Obi are screaming, the real Nigerians who are in the productive sectors, who are actually producing and, selling their products or services, are blissing out right now. So I think that we must take that in context and not fall into this extreme pessimism that Mr. B is become a champion of.
And you've actually hit back with a volley of attacks. I mean, calling Obi a prophet of doom. Some of you have said that he's always embarking in voodoo economics that are not in line with current realities. I mean, don't you think? I mean, that's a slingshot that's gone beyond normal politicking.
No. He is the one that's throwing that. Mr. Obi is shooting from the hip. He's not looking. He's not taking an aim. He just, shoots widely, like, what we used to see in movies back in the day, in the Wild Wild West. He is not being rational. He's absolutely irrational in his thinking and in his public commentary for a man who was governor for 8 years, who left nothing to remember in Anambra State by way of a legacy or transformation. But all of a sudden, he served as governor 8 years. He didn't have the wisdom or the smarts to change Anambra State, to make Anambra the beacon, that example of, governance in the country. But then, he runs for president, in 2023. And then now, he didn't win. He's sulking, rather than actually get a perspective and, figure out what he did to lose so he can do better in the future. He would think that he can bring down the government by simply, being maliciously deceptive. That is wrong. I'm not somebody to, to go on that offensive in that manner. But Mr. Obi has crossed the line so many times. And I think that at this point, he has coming to him whatever he gets, he needs to manage it.
And Mr. Morka, I just want to read some things that Obi said, directly quoting him, because he said he felt very terrible after visiting IDP camps, and he saw that a lot of Nigerians are still displaced and living like refugees and exiles in their own country. He's asking President Tinubu to visit various IDP camps and assure these Nigerians that they will soon return to their communities and that you are working hard to restore peace and normalcy to the country. Nigeria is not a war-torn nation. The proliferation of IDP camps is a troubling sign. If you were the person who visited an IDP camp and you saw the number of Nigerians still out there who couldn't celebrate Christmas and New Year in their homes, wouldn't you feel concerned?
Mr. Sambo, don't forget my background. I'm, a civil rights lawyer. My entire professional career has been dedicated to working with the poorest of the poor. All of the slums in Nigeria, I have something to do with them and their, helping them to negotiate power with government. So, I'm all too familiar with, the nature and the impact of extreme poverty. That's been the core of my career, helping to, do things right and get better deal for people who are in that category, unfortunately. See, anywhere in the world, when you visit IDP camps, it is depressing. It's not funny. There's nothing romantic about IDP camps, because when you are displaced by whatever reason, whether by war or by internal, strife or by even natural disasters, people, live less than they do ordinarily in the normal course of things. So, yes, I can hear Mr. B when he says, oh, I went there and I was depressed and I was sad. Yes, it is sad to visit them because they live, a life that, can be better, that is not better because of the circumstances they find themselves. But Mr. President, is the president of everyone in Nigeria. He's the president of everybody, the rich, the poor, the affluent, the people in the IDP camps. He's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And Mr. President is somebody who is, known. I don't need to make that point. He is universally acclaimed to be a man who is deeply compassionate, whose level of empathy is beyond Mr. Obi even. I can assure you.
But we haven't seen him. We haven't seen Mr. Morka. We haven't seen President Tinubu visiting an IDP camp or trying to see how the government can work more using governmental institutions. I mean, apart from when Better Edu was still there with the new minister that we have right now, we haven't seen that deliberate effort to actually reach out to these Nigerians who are not in these IDP camps because of their own wish, but because of the failure of governmental authorities to do the needful, including the military, so that these people can quickly get back to their homes.
Mr. Sambo, I am not here to discuss the schedule of ministers and even the president as to when they will visit or the IDP camps. But what I'm saying is that this government is intentionally orchestrating policies and taking actions that ultimately will reset the reality for everyone, including those who, unfortunately find themselves in IDP camps for whatever reason that they got there, whether it's because of flooding or because of, terrorism or because of war, whatever it is that has, got them there. This president has, a global perspective and is mobilizing resources and positioning assets to help, treat all of these, circumstances. The point I'm making is that whether the president himself has personally visited IDP camps, at this time, does that mean he won't do that? It doesn't mean that. And I'm not here to tell you the president is going to go there tomorrow. But I'm just saying that we can't always take today and think that the world ends today. The world doesn't end today. It may end today from the analysis that Mr. B is willing to make. But it doesn't end today because the president has the liberty to go anywhere and do things as he thinks. And he has ministers who work for him. He has other levels of authority who are delivering government's policies and programs to ensure that people everywhere, wherever they are, get feel the impact of government. What I'm saying is that Mr. B's analysis is presented to make it sound as though this president has done something colossal, in neglect of people who are in the IDP. And I'm saying that that's ridiculous because he's been in office for just 18 months, and he's in office for was elected to serve for 4 years.